Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So when I look around the room this morning, I can see familiar faces and I can see some new faces and some returning faces and some faces that I know will be leaving soon. When we observe life just as it is, it shows us the true nature of things, of objects, just as you all show me this morning the true nature of objects. Some are coming, some are going, some are staying for a while and then going. This is the impermanent nature of objects. When you're able to suspend your mind or the mind long enough to be able to just be here, wherever here is, in the silence of your own being, your nature, and you observe, not just here with an empty mind, with an empty heart, but with an attitude of interest and observation. Life itself, nature, your nature, shows you the obvious, that objects or phenomenon, thoughts, emotions, sensations, feelings, are always spontaneously arising, staying for a period of time, short or long, and then going. This is the nature of all phenomenon and all objects. You can see this for yourself. As soon as you take this attitude of observation, of witnessing, so life itself, nature has within it everything that you need to know about the nature of reality. Once there's been a recognition that all the objects or all the phenomenon, all the experiences are coming and going, and they are doing this eternally, and there's nothing that you can do to stop that, then you can settle into what is before the experiences, what is before the objects. You can notice right now that in your experience, if you are observing, you are aware of the sound of the traffic outside, aware of my voice. If you are looking up here, you are seeing an object sitting here on the chair. You are seeing color, light, shadow. You are feeling temperature. All of these phenomena are present. In this here now, in this very moment, however, can you notice they are not the same in this moment as they were when I began this conversation? They are spontaneously here now, and they are free of whatever characteristics they may have had even just a few minutes ago. The sound that you hear now, whether it's my voice or the horn, is not the same sound that you heard a minute ago. It is different. But the habitual mind tells you it is the same. That this voice you are hearing now, these words you are hearing now, these concepts that you are hearing now, are the same as they were 30 seconds ago, a minute ago. In this way, your mind gives you a certain sense of safety, a certain sense of continuity, gives you the false sense of some sense of permanence, some sense that you know what is sitting here and what is talking to you. And this calms you. And this is the same way that you relate to your own mind. You hear the sound of your own mental voice, and it gives you a sense of peace and a sense of calm. You somehow think you know who you are in the same way that you think you know who I am. Because you are familiar with my voice, you think you know who I am. For those of you that have been coming for some time, because you look up here and you think you see the same person, it gives you a sense of peace. You think you know who I am. That familiarity. It's that characteristic of mind that creates habit and creates the habitual nature of the mind, which looks at the world and sorts things into categories which are familiar and thus comforting, and keeps the I don't know ghost, the I don't know demon at bay. The uncertainty of not knowing is kept away. Through this tendency to look at things in a familiar way, in a habitual way, we're not challenged to see the emptiness of all phenomena that are coming and going. The Buddha called this characteristic for things to come and go spontaneously arising impermanence. In Advaita, this same principle is referred to as the unreal. So what we are seeing here now, what we are hearing here now, the concepts I am using, all exist within the realm of the impermanent and the unreal. We can see this from our own experience. Everything is passing, coming and going in its own time, has nothing to do with an imaginary me. For this reason, it's said in Advaita, All phenomenon, all objects are unreal. All experiences are unreal. So, this naturally leads us to the question, well then, what is real? What is permanent? If all phenomenon, if all objects, if all experiences are coming and going, is there anything which is not coming and going? So I ask you, now that you are familiar with the ways in which these words, these concepts, this picture, this picture, this picture is coming and going, can you see anything in it which is not coming and going? By asking this question, I'm implying that there is something, right? Or there is an awareness which is not coming and going. If I ask you, are you aware? You immediately say yes. Is there anyone here who says they are not aware in this moment? You are aware. But this awareness is not associated with this transitory you, is it? That which is aware is here now, in this moment, not tied to any of the objects. If I ask you, are you here? Yes. Are you aware? Yes. There's not even a space between the question and the answer. Are you aware? Yes, I am. This sense, I am or I exist, is with us all the time. But often, because it is so familiar, we step over it or look past it, finding the objects and the phenomenon in mind much more entertaining than this simple awareness, I am. So what is it that was here a minute ago as you were listening? It was here 5 minutes ago. It was here 15 minutes ago as you were sitting quietly. You are still sitting quietly, but now you are moving, your eyes are open. You are listening. Something is here. Not a thing really, but we have to use words. Something is here. It was also here 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, an hour ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. The experiences of an hour ago, a minute ago, 10 years ago are gone. They've disappeared. They came, they had their time, and they left, correct? They are gone. You can only vaguely remember things from a long time ago, usually because they had some pleasure or some pain associated with them, so you remember them, but they are gone. This is a faculty of memory, of intelligence. But just because it's a function of memory or intelligence does not make it what is permanent or real. So what was here during your experiences 10 years ago, a year ago, an hour ago, a minute ago?
Consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that which was aware, that which is aware. And this awareness, because it was here, this consciousness, this sense of I exist or I am, because it was here then and is here now, and it is always here, whether this body-mind is here or not. If it is not here in this body-mind, if I drop this body-mind, it will still be here, there. It will still be here. It will still be here. It will still be here. Still be here. It will still be going on as the phenomenon are coming and going. This is the foundation of the question, who am I? Or what is aware here? Or even just the simple recognition, I am aware. What Sri Ramana was pointing us toward is this recognition that it is consciousness itself, what he termed the self, which is unborn, undying, unchanging, permanent. He's not talking about a separate being, is he? He's talking about that which is here in each and every one of us and in all of this. But particularly here in sentient beings. And he tried to point us to the fact that this is the universal characteristic, the foundation of all phenomenon, of all objects. That these phenomena, these objects, these experiences, these emotions, are not even knowable at all without consciousness itself. And yet, we look at the objects, we look at the phenomenon, and we associate that play, the lila, that play, with me. We try in some way to make it mine, never realizing that we can't own it. It is simply the play of consciousness. And the degree that we suffer is the degree to which we identify with the play that is going on in consciousness in any given moment. So this is not to say that the phenomenon or the objects or the emotions or whatever is present in here now is not real. This is not what's meant by all of this is unreal. We are not saying that the objects which are here now in this moment don't exist. We are simply saying they only have spontaneous existence in this moment. And they are associated directly with that which is aware. Objects are not separate from that which is aware of the object. So in this moment, if you are feeling the cool from the AC, this object is momentarily here. This sensation of coolness is momentarily here, but it is also impermanent and passing. So it is with thoughts, emotions, experiences, and so on. That which is here in this moment can be said to be real, but it's only real in the sense of aware consciousness, which is here now. So in this moment, the real and the unreal are in a continuous stream, aren't they? The real is here to notice that which is unreal, which is coming and going, and which is impermanent. But it's in that very noticing that a certain reality is there for whatever the experiences are here now. Therefore, we don't necessarily need to deny the reality of the experience we are having now. We are sitting here in this room. You are listening to my voice. You are comfortable or uncomfortable. you are hot, you are cold. All of this is going on. The nature of this reality is that consciousness, awareness, is here now and is perceiving these experiences. In that instant, what is here is real. In the same way that a thought going through, if it's momentarily looked at and grabbed and said, oh, that's a thought and I'm thinking about this, that thought is momentarily real. If I'm saying, oh, this emotion is here and I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, momentarily, that is here. The degree to which you suffer is the degree to which you grab onto it and cause it to stay, that you hold onto it, that you identify with it. If you are in a position of observation or witness, or you are simply open, allowing the free movement of whatever energy is here, no identification is taking place. There is simply awareness, being consciousness, which is here now, aware of what is flowing through, then the reality is what is here now is flowing through. And there is no attachment, no grabbing, no clinging, no trying to push away, no need to get rid of, no need to solve the problem. What is coming, has its period of time, and it goes. This is why Bhagavan said, allow what comes to come, allow what goes to go. He is pointing us directly to this experience that the only constant in all of this is the recognition, I am. This is what Nisargadatta Maharaj always encouraged people to come back to, this recognition, I am, or I exist. Bhagavan said, I exist more often. Nisargadatta Maharaj said, I am. Come to this feeling, this recognition. Be here in this recognition. And then let the impermanent be the impermanent. Let what is coming and going come and go. And they pointed this out because this is the key to recognizing that you are that which is aware. That this is what is always here. It is that which was aware 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years. It is aware now. That is unchanging, unborn, undying. In Zen, they say this is the nature, or Chan, I guess it is, Chinese Buddhism. They say this is the nature of your original face before you were born. This awareness, this being, consciousness and bliss, this is your nature. Everything else is coming and going. When you fully understand this and you fully live in this space, then you simply allow what is to be here in this moment, knowing that in the next moment it will be gone. But your attention, if you will, is always on the recognition of what is real, what is always here, as all arising phenomenon and objects, being, consciousness, and bliss. You are that. So I want to be very clear that you understand, because this still comes up a lot in private meetings, that what is here is what is here. Stand in it. Be willing to stand in whatever is here. The reason you took this birth is in this moment, not in what you think it is. What is coming toward you, or what is here for you in this moment, is here for you to learn from. But you can only learn when you have a sharp sense of observation, a sharp sense of witness. If you are sucked away, no problem. Come back into this recognition that you are. As soon as you're able to, without blame, without shame, with compassion, with love. If you are suffering, come back to this awareness. Leave everything else alone. Let it pass. You all know it will pass. It may take some time. Some things pass quickly. Others pass much more slowly, you know. They come again and again. Sometimes they are frequent visitors for a period of time. Sometimes they come very, very strongly. This way of recognition, however, is to recognize what is here without identifying with it, thereby liberating the experience and also liberating the one who seems to be having the experience. Okay?
Can you talk more about compassion
Mm.
for myself? I mean, this not real self. Because when I see that I am lost in this energy,
Mm-hmm.
then comes this sense of blame and why I am lost. And it's like two parts. One wants to indulge in something, and another wants to punish or something. I don't know. So how to be in this compassion?
Recognize that this habit to want to punish, to want to blame, and so on, is part of a deep conditioning. In the same way that this thinking or these emotions or this deep identification is happening as part of conditioning, so is this blame, so is these other habits of the mind. Recognize them to be habits of the mind. Excuse me. And then bring an attitude of loving compassion toward them. Because you know what compassion is, right? You can't ask me the question about compassion unless you know in some way what compassion is for you, correct? So what is compassion for you? What does compassion look like?
Some openness.
Ah, very good. This is important that you say it this way. Because what you are calling lacking compassion, or you are saying is blame, and describing in this way, this is like a closed fist, right? When there is a lack of compassion, when there is blame, when there is self-criticism, when there is judgment, this is like holding your fist closed, like this, yes? How long can I hold my fist like this? What do you think? You think I can do it for 10 minutes? 15 minutes? Half an hour? Do you think I can? It's not very likely. You know, the muscles become fatigued. Huh? One becomes just not happy with this tension. Huh? Lack of compassion is like this. As we blame ourselves, we treat ourselves badly, we judge ourselves, we criticize ourselves, this fist keeps tightening. But eventually these muscles, the mind, becomes exhausted. We exhaust ourselves with this blame. The beauty of this is that it has to give way. What does it give way to? What happens when we open this hand? Is there an immediate sense of release? Of relief? No? Isn't that true? If you hold yourself in a clenched position for any long period of time, as soon as you open, there's a release that happens. So very good that you say compassion is a sense of openness. So now the question is, this is all happening in the mind. If it was as simple as open your hand, then there's an immediate sense of relief. But when the mind is clenched, it becomes much more challenging, doesn't it? To open the mind. But understand that this blame, this criticism, and so on, this is a dialogue which is happening in the mind. Habitual dialogue. We're not judging it beyond that. We're just simply saying it's a habitual dialogue. It's there. As soon as you realize it's there, drop into the heart. Come into the literal center of the body, into the heart center, into the solar plexus. Breathe deeply. As soon as you do this, and you begin this opening. You've already sent the command, if you will, to being, consciousness, to the body, to the mind, to open. You take a nice deep breath and let go. You can already begin to feel the mind relax. Because the lack of compassion is happening in the mind. Compassion happens in the heart. So as soon as you recall that your task in that moment is to bring compassion to the experience that you're having, not to push it away, not to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I think it's about, okay, can say openly that I'm asking about just desire for another person. And then it's like one part of me, like once simply like to go with that. And it's like, okay, if I just do what, I don't know, like everything I want, everything I desire, I will get release. It's like some kind of story going with this. And another is kind of spiritual concept that I shouldn't do this at all.
Yeah, but it's not really a concept. It's more an exercise. You see, we need to bring, if you are relating to it as a concept, understand that you are trying to hit one concept with another concept. So you're trying to fulfill the desires, or you're trying to get rid of the pain or whatever. And you're trying to do that by bringing in another concept of compassion. And the mind is wrestling with what would be compassionate, what isn't compassionate. And there's this back and forth struggle what's going on. But if I say to you, are you here in this moment? Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are here, correct? So in order for you to know that you are here, you have to take that attention and bring it down here. Because if I say to you, are you here? Where do you feel that? Do you feel it here, or do you feel it here? And you say, yes, I'm here. Huh? You say, yes, I am here. Do you feel it here or here? You feel it in the heart. Now I'm pointing to the center of the body, because what we experience the center of being to be located somewhere relative to the center of the body. But of course, the center of being is the center of being consciousness. So it is actually not located in the body, and yet it feels that way. So you say, bring compassion into the body itself. So when you feel the mind is tied up and in a knot, breathe, open, drop into the body, come into the center of being, open from there, and don't do anything about this lack of compassion or this blame or whatever. It will go when it goes. It won't go, as you've already recognized, you said a minute ago. It doesn't go because you wrestle with it. It goes because you let go of it. You stop grabbing it. You stop making it real. You stop accepting its reality. And you come into this being consciousness, into this compassion. And in this moment, it feels like you are being compassionate toward this someone. But ultimately, if you keep this up, you keep opening the heart, you keep settling here as you are right now, ultimately, you begin to see that nothing is really very interesting in this old storyline, in this habitual storyline. So you become more and more willing to let it go. Each time you come into this sense of compassion or relief or release of this difficult way of thinking or viewing the world or viewing your experience, each time you do that, you chip away a little bit of that hard sense that this is somehow real, or this is me, or I am identified with this difficult mind.
You said that I already know compassion, but how can I be sure of it if I know the real compassion?
Are you here? Are you here?
Yeah,
Do you know that you are here?
yeah.
Do you know that you exist? What does that feel like to you? Put everything else aside. What does it feel like for you to exist here, now, with me?
I still feel some tension around the heart.
Ah, yeah, but that's habitual also. That's what we are working on. We are going to bust that. Let that go. You can settle past this tension also. You see, the tension is that object. Don't look at that object. You can know it's there, no problem. Now go deeper. Stay here. What's before the tension? Do you know that you exist? So, yeah, you can say it's space. Some people say, yes, it's space. What exists below this? Nothing. Nothingness, emptiness, spaciousness. These are ways of describing a very, very subtle experience, correct? You have to actually look for this experience, which is what you are doing right now. It has to become important. It is important because you are sitting here. You are facing this question. Do I know I exist? Do you? Do you exist? You know this? Yes. In this deep existence, what do you need? Right now, in this moment, is there anything you need? Are you lacking anything? You have a smile on your face. It must not be too unpleasant.
But still, something in the mind says, I would like tension to go. I would like to be totally relaxed.
Yeah, but
Nice.
understand that a moment ago, we were here in the heart. And then you said, but in the mind, it says this. This is exactly the pattern of suffering. See it for what it is. We were here. I was asking you, do you exist? You said yes, very simply. You had a smile on your face. You have a smile on your face again now. As soon as I said, don't look at that, what the mind is telling you, then you fell back again. Back into this here, this now. And you're here. And all is well. In this moment. Is it true? Yes. And the dance of mind is going to be to try to pull you out of this sense of all is well. I exist. I am happy. I'm relaxed in this moment. The mind is going to try to pull you out of that, not because the mind is bad, but because that's the mind's habit. That's been its tendency, its samskara, forever. But now you are beginning to go underneath the mind. You are beginning to settle into the heart, into this recognition that your existence is here, now, and all is well. This is what you bring now to everything. And it makes no difference if the mind pulls you away for a period of time. As soon as you realize, oh, the mind has pulled me away again, I'm caught. I've forgotten who I am. You come back to this feeling, to this gentle smile, to this gentle recognition, all is well. This is the nature of compassion. Compassion is not something you think, it is something you are. This compassion and this love, which you feel right now in this moment, this is your nature. When you access this, all is well. Everything else is a dream. The reason that these practices, you can say, or this way of being is called a practice is because the momentum of conditioning always keeps us coming back to this mind. We have just been conditioned for that to happen. But as we undertake this recognition that I am here, I am well, all is well, that which is aware, open, compassionate, is here now. We return to this over and over. We begin, in a way, a new momentum. So we come out of this rut of blame and shame and denial, and we move into a new way of looking at the world, looking from truth, from being, consciousness, and bliss. I am that which is here, which is aware, which is open, loving, kind, and compassionate. This is using the same characteristic of mind which wants to put us in that groove of blame and denial and self-criticism and brings us into alignment with the truth. When we bring the mind, the heart, into alignment with the truth, then the truth takes over. So it's only a practice for a period of time. We do this with the bringing back, returning of the mind into this moment, into the here now, into this recognition, I am. We just do this over a period of time, but eventually that truth of our own nature begins to take over. And we practice less and less and remain more and more in this space which you're in right now. So take this up, but take it up compassionately. What I mean by take it up compassionately is when the mind, when the habitual conditioning carries you away through some memory, through some thinking, through some habit pattern. Don't beat the mind like you're beating a puppy, you know? If you beat a puppy, you end up with an angry, difficult animal as an adult. So what do we do when we train a puppy? We keep treats in our pocket. And when the puppy does something we want it to do, we like what it does, we reward it. This is compassion. So when you understand that the mind has gone into blame, self-loathing, criticism, and so on, don't beat the mind up. Don't tell it, you have to get rid of that. You have to stop that. No, just pull the attention away from it. Give the mind a treat. The treat is the peace of knowing that you are being, consciousness, and bliss. You are here, now. A minute ago, you were struggling. Now you know, I am. Even if it's only that long, you break that pattern of beating up the mind, and you come into this moment of self-recognition. That which I am, as awareness, as being, consciousness, as I am, is here now, and I am free of that. Even if it's only for a moment, I'm free of that. Because each time you do that, the moments lengthen, they get bigger, they widen out, because there is so much peace, so much love, so much compassion in this heart, in this moment, right now. This is the sweetie, this is the treat for the puppy. Don't be afraid to use it. You know, many people have this fear of, I treat myself too well, you know, I'm not, you know, it's not a good thing, you know. Some cultures, some societies, some religions even teach us that we have to suffer. We have to constantly be vigilant. We have to constantly be beating ourselves with a stick or a whip, or we have to be wearing a hair shirt, you know. If you are a monk in a monastery, in a Christian monastery centuries ago, you had to wear a hair shirt and you had to suffer all the time. This was thought to be a valuable way to understand who you are. But this is not necessary. Please come to know yourself in this moment as I am. Simply I am. offer yourself compassion and love, not as concepts, but as the simple willingness to be here, to make this more important than what's going on in the mind. This is to offer yourself true compassion. Yeah. Okay.
A question about awareness and consciousness. It sounded like the way you were speaking, it's like almost interchangeable. Are they the same thing, or is there a distinction? Is awareness part of consciousness part of awareness, or are they just different words for the same thing?
Yeah, I do use them interchangeably almost. There's only a very subtle difference in the way that I experience this and in the way I understand it. And that is that consciousness itself is that which is here always, eternally, unborn, undying, has no characteristics. This is in Vedanta is referred to as Atman. So it is this undefinable, undescribable, yet somehow known. Awareness itself is that which we experience in a body-mind. So when we are asleep, in deep sleep, there is nothing present. There's no awareness there. So we aren't aware of the world, we aren't aware of the body, the sensations, the sounds in the room even. Nothing is there, we are in deep sleep. But when we are awakened in the morning, we know instantly, I slept well, or I didn't sleep well. We know that instantly. So this tells us that there is this vast knowing which is there. This is what I refer to as consciousness in most circumstances. The one that arises in the body and says, I slept well, that is coming from awareness, which in a way you can say is dependent upon the body-mind mechanism, so that into conscious awareness comes this perception of whatever the experience is. And that, I'm saying, is happening in awareness. So they are, but that is a continuum, isn't it? You see the same one which was there in the emptiness of deep sleep is the same which is there at the instant of awakening. So it's a continuity, right? It's not, this is consciousness and this is awareness. This is a flow or a matter of degree, but one is dependent upon the other. The body-mind is dependent upon awareness to know itself. Awareness is dependent upon the body-mind to know itself as consciousness. Does that help? The consciousness is before all and manifesting as all, but it has no quality of manifestation. It doesn't do that on its own. It has no volition, no will, right? Consciousness is what is, you can say, in a certain way. It is what is.
So would it be accurate to say like consciousness is like the colorlessness that's in the background of everything, and awareness is like the, I don't know, I guess the awareness of the color or the phenomenon that exists?
That's only partially right, because it's more subtle than that, right? So the image that Bhagavan used was that you are the screen, and this he referred to as consciousness. In other words, the screen is not aware of itself, it simply is. Yeah, and it has no characteristics, it's just blank, it's just there. And on that is projected the movie. Awareness would be that perception of the movie. So awareness, but also in this way of being that I'm reminding people that you are here, you are now, you are this awareness which is here now. And I'm asking people, do you know? Are you here? Do you know this? Yes? The reason I'm doing that is because awareness, which is before even the ability to observe or before the ability to witness, has no characteristics also. So it's like the light in between the screen and the pictures on the screen. The light is necessary in order for the pictures to appear on the screen. But the light, it cannot be seen itself. You see, it's just there. It's projecting onto. So awareness is in this position. And I'm also very fond of saying, awareness does not need you. Because the mistake that often gets made is we think that when I say awareness, I'm talking about what you are aware of. But if I say awareness does not need you, and then I ask, are you aware? You still say yes. But you are aware without the concept of you. You can be aware as simple awareness without needing to identify with any of the objects which are appearing. So awareness does not need to be aware of anything. If awareness is not aware of anything, awareness is simply aware. That which is aware, that is, it is aware. This is awareness before objects. Okay? Does that help?
Yeah. And is that awareness that is aware the close on that spectrum, the closest that we get to being with consciousness that is that screen or whatever?
Using the body mind. Yes, and this is true, using the body mind. So we remain here in prior even to these stages of witness and observation. And then from that place, though, it is possible, it is in fact knowable what comes before I am. So in the waking state, it is possible, or in the samadhi state, it is possible to know what comes before I am, which is not pure consciousness because it is still has the qualities of the world or the body-mind experience. But from there, one can be opened, let's say, by grace, by the truth of one's nature, and settle into this recognition that that which is aware is here now, and I am that.
And that there's a changing in that as well. Even that there's, so like the image I got when you were speaking is like if there's a drop of water in a river and it knows itself as a drop of water in the river, and then it flows into the ocean and then it becomes the ocean, and it knows itself either as a drop of water in the ocean or just simply as the ocean.
As the ocean, yes. It knows itself as the ocean, but it also knows it's not the entire ocean, you know, in some way. But this is all, you know, we're really splitting some fine hairs here, you know. Yeah, at this point it becomes actually almost better just to remain silent, you know. Yeah, the drop of water dissolves in the ocean. And this is as far as metaphors can take us. Yeah. It's as far as conceptual mind can take us. So the experience from there is, just to reassure you, it's not really an experience, but there is a recognition, a knowing, and this knowing who I am, let's say, or knowing what is better. This knowing of what is there with an absolute certainty, meaning there is no longer any doubt, so that when the statement, awareness is here now, or the self is aware here now, or Buddha mind is aware here now, when this is spoken, this is spoken from pure knowing, meaning there's not a shadow of a doubt anywhere. and in the traditions of both Advaita and the Buddha, it's recognized that when the way in which this knowing, this fruition has come from from our practice, from our investigation, from our contemplation, to know that this has come and it is true and it is real and it is really the truth of our nature. This comes through the experience of knowing doubt is absolutely destroyed. There is no more doubt. One knows oneself to be what one is, and also knows the world to be what it is, and knows that they are the same. Keep going.
The yeah, let me know if this is splitting hairs, but like I guess the doubt.
Yeah, but you're at the splitting hair stage, so
the doubt that you speak about and the experience of that being dissolved, that happens as an experience, or is there something that we can do towards that?
well, what we can do toward that is to keep returning into this recognition that awareness is here now, and somehow keep supporting the understanding that which is aware is here now, and living in that space, and diminishing reactivity to whatever appears in the space of awareness itself. So this is the way. But yeah, when we start to talk about things like, is there anything we can do to eliminate doubt? The very first thing is to understand that there is no such thing as doubt. This is a concept that we're using here to try to get down to do what we're doing, which is really looking at very precise and very subtle phenomenon, okay? But understand that the recognition is not suddenly, oh, there is not any more doubt. That's not the realization. The realization is there was never any doubt. Doubt was a concept in the mind, which was just a concept in the mind.
Kind of program.
Yeah, a conditioning. And that it simply never was. You see, one does not awaken to something new. One awakens to what one has always been. So even this idea of me and mine, one can see through this. It's penetrated completely. This was a falsehood. There never was a me. There never was a my. Nothing was ever born, and nothing will ever die. That which is aware is eternally here, eternally now, and has no basis of reality in this body-mind. It simply is. This body-mind has its reality in that which is, not the other way around. Prior to that moment, we think it's the other way around. I am doing something. I have to find a path. I have to find a way. I have to do a practice. And all of that is necessary as long as the me sense is still there. It has great value, mostly just to keep us centered and keep us from getting lost again in the confusion of the mind. But once it all dissolves, then it's what's realized is it never was. This is the final recognition. And this is why we can often hear the sage laugh, because what is happening in the mind of the devotee or the mind of the student is not real. And the sage knows that, but has to respond to you as though it is real in order to move you inch by inch by inch closer to the recognition. Not to the concept, it's not real, but to the recognition that it never was real. so that you can then laugh.
What you said. When we drop to the heart and we find it's heavy, do we just accept and observe? Is there, and try to let go? It's hard to explain because
No,
there's,
yes, but let me say, before you try to explain it too much further, that understand that what's happened when you say you drop into the heart, the instruction there is drop into the heart and stop. What you're saying is I'm dropping into the heart and then I'm looking around and I'm making a judgment with the mind based on past experience that it's heavy there.
it's a feeling. So, yeah.
The nature of the heart, the deep heart that we're speaking about here, doesn't have those ways of defining itself because its nature is silence. This is why we call it being consciousness. Its nature is silence. So firstly, I just want to say, be certain you understand that when you drop into the heart, if the mind says, or there's a feeling in the body that says this is heavy, you need to drop through that. You are not yet in the silence of being. Okay? You are still on some level, on a more surface level, because the mind is entering in and it's looking, gauging experiences, naming, labeling. So this is all the activity. The heart is there, but it's still being covered over by the conceptual nature of the mind. So drop into the heart further and do this by opening. And what I mean by opening is be less willing to believe what the mind is telling you it's finding when it drops into the heart. Huh? The heart does not have any of those characteristics. Those characteristics belong to mind, to the self-defining nature of mind, to the personally defining nature of mind. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
And again, remember, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that self-defining nature of mind. That is just what it does. But that's all based in conditioning. It's all based on the belief that something that happened before might happen again, or something that happened before looked like this, and so it must be this again. What you're being asked to do is to fall more deeply into the silence and stillness, which is underneath any conceptual thinking. At this moment, this sounds conceptual, but it's an actual experience. So just keep going. That's why I say this a lot. Keep going. Is to push you beyond what you believe is happening and asking you to look, not to to be able to tell me, well, this is what's happening. It's heavy here. No. That's fine. Keep going. There's more. Don't get stopped at the first sense of feeling that's there. The feeling is valid at that level, but what's before that, or beneath that, or supporting that? So you have to become interested to know what's beyond the concepts of the mind, or beyond experience even, beyond what's been experienced before. And of course, this is why fear comes up for many people, because we are living out a life that's based on something happened XYZ this year, that year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And because that happened, when I see anything that remotely looks like that, has any sense of or quality of what happened in that, the way I remember it in that memory, I immediately start to brace. I immediately start to resist. I immediately start to feel stress. That experience was what it was. But now you are reacting to something which is not true in this moment. Even though it may have been true 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, it might have been true. In this moment, it is not. And so, what is here in this moment? This is why the practice is really around the question, who am I, or what is here in this moment? And the recognition that in this moment, I am aware. And if I open my heart to this, I'm not looking at that heaviness, which you describe, which is based on a past experience. So fall through it. Okay? Everything you are looking at in your experience is essentially based on the past. And what you're being asked to do here is to be here. This means there is no past, doesn't it? This is implied in this. There is no past. So if you are having that kind of an experience, this heaviness is here, fall through it. What happens if you fall through it?
There is space, but it's like a waiting ground. Like a waiting ground, like a...
Yes, exactly right. Wait. If you are in this waiting space, everything that rises is rising out of conditioning, because the mind which is conditioned does not like the waiting space. It's like sitting in the doctor's office for 3 hours and no one calls your name. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mind does not like this. Mind wants to look at the phone, start scrolling, open the magazines. I forgot to bring a book. This is what mind wants. So, yeah, fall into this space, and it is the waiting room. But now, there is nothing which you are really waiting for. But when this space is open like this, suddenly, as Ajahn Chah, the great Buddhist master, said, this is like sitting at the edge of a still forest pool. When you are sitting at the edge of a still forest pool, all sorts of strange and wonderful creatures show up. This is what happens in mind as well. So you are in the waiting room. Just know that whatever shows up is unimportant at this moment. Just let it be there as long as it needs to be there, and then let it go. Don't wrestle with it. Don't grab it. Don't need to figure it out. Don't need to understand it. Just wait. It's in this space of waiting, if you will, that the deep intuition that you are being, consciousness and bliss, can come. But if there is anything in this waiting space with you, the attention will naturally go to that. So your task is to wait patiently. And when things come, they come. And when they go, they go. But without attachment, without identification, without even wanting to understand or know what they are. Just keep coming back to the waiting space. And you become very skilled with this. And so, can you wait?
Feels like I've been waiting my whole life. I guess I can do it longer.
Yeah, but now the real waiting begins, I guess. You know, when when you say, feels like I've been waiting my whole life, the natural question that rises here is, waiting for what? What have you been waiting for?
Just be. To just be.
Yes. So you have permission now. You are here. Can you fully embrace, in some way, this observational quality of what is here? Because, as I said in the very beginning of this, life contains within it everything you need to understand who you are. If you deeply observe life as it is, not as your mind wants it to be, or imagines it to be, or expects it to be. So now you are sitting in the space of the heart, observing with love and compassion everything that's rising in mind and body and world. This is your sadhana. So continue. Keep going.